Hey everyone, so today we're continuing on with our Faction War series, and today we're taking a look at our very first individual faction. So I did the intro video just going over some basics of Faction Wars, and today we're just going to talk about the individual. We're starting with Lasir, one, because I think it's one of the easier factions if you have the right heroes, mainly one hero in particular. It's also one of the only factions that I think it's the only faction that I've completed level 20 on. So I figured this would be a good starting point. So as I mentioned in the intro video, the most important thing in Faction Wars is to get to the highest level possible that you can farm in order to get the highest rarity of glyph. Or ores, I think they call them in this game. Sorry, I have Raid Shadow Legends brain sometimes when I do these videos. But these ores. And the star level is not really important unless you're going for those rewards that they give here in the progress, which is kind of terrible for the effort. Or more importantly, the challenges, which is, I think, something that most people try and do. Because they'll get that legendary book if you collect 400 stars. That's really the only reason to care about the stars. So with that being said, let's just take a look at this Lasir faction, okay? So when you're going through these different stages, you'll notice from difficulty 1 all the way up to level 5, you do not have any of these affixes that you'll see in stages 6 and up. So each faction kind of has its own variation of these affixes. This one here says all surviving heroes take true damage for 50% of max health upon the death of an ally. So whenever one of your heroes dies, the rest of your team takes 50% of the health that person had. It's really nuts. Essentially, if one hero dies, your team is in a lot of trouble. If 2 die at the same time, your team gets wiped. The name of the game is to try and keep your entire team alive with this affix. And then they also have this thing called Berserker's Call, where the enemy is quicker, and they also have higher health. So they won't hit as hard, but they will be quick, and they'll be tanky. So that's the first thing to keep in mind whenever you're going through these individual factions is, pay attention to what the affixes are. Another thing to mention is on every 5 levels, you'll see with this interesting outline in comparison to the other levels here. This means that there is a boss on this stage, as signified here as boss. So something to keep in mind when doing boss stages, 2 things. 1, there are heroes in the game that have abilities that don't work on bosses, or their abilities are somewhat nerfed against bosses. So do keep that in mind whenever you're building a team for a boss stage. And the other thing to keep in mind is these boss stages, they'll have health bars at the top of their name, and I'll show you one here, maybe on stage 15 or something. But all you have to do is kill the boss to beat that stage. You do not have to worry about the other heroes within that stage. So that's kind of nice, where on the other stages you'll have to beat all 4 of those heroes to complete the stage. Let's see here. On top of that, I think, one of the key things is maybe just picking the right spells. I always tend to use this stun spell no matter what, and then my second spell is something that varies. If it's a damage dealing affix like the one we have in this faction, I tend to not pick the revive spell, because if your hero is revived and dies again from the revive spell, you'll take that damage again from the affix that I was talking about, and that's not good. So don't do that. In this one, I would definitely take the stun spell. In regards to heroes that are pretty viable in here, the one that will make faction wars a lot easier for you is 100% Ashlyn. She's just so good in regards to, controlling specific enemies, with her stun spell. She also has survivability by switching back and forth between forms to keep her health high. Because, like I said, if you die, that's not something that you that's not something that is going to make your runs reliable for sure, and you're not going to progress. So Ashlyn is 100% the key here. Other heroes that I've found to be quite good are Marion Shadowblood. She has self-sustain as well as, producing a little bit of chip damage on the stages of the enemies because she has joint attacks, and then her joint attacks with her basic do true damage based on enemy max health. So she's been very, very good. I'm using Light Nick here and Evelyn First On, which are two light legendary heroes, which most people might not have. They are really relevant for faction wars, and it's probably why I've been able to climb so high. Light Nick has death immunity, and then Evelyn First On is just kind of more of a tanky hero, as well as giving the rest of your team, increased defense with her trait. As well as giving your team extra turns. So she's a really great unit. But for those of you who don't have them, I will say, if you're using Ashlyn, which I think is a must, I don't think she's replaceable. If you don't have Ashlyn, because of how overtuned faction challenges are right now, I just don't think it's doable without her. But if you have her, and you don't have Light Nick or Evelyn First On, Trista is absolutely amazing. She pairs great with Ashlyn, as well as just being a nice control unit herself. Trista has this ability where, actually, let's just go to the index, and maybe that'll be a little easier for me to explain. So Trista has this ability here where anytime she deals damage, it inflicts Ignite for 2 turns on a target. And then targets without Ignite get that Ignite. And then targets with Ignite have an 80% chance of detonating. They'll reduce the turn of Ignite and then have a chance of stunning those enemies, which is really, really neat. So her being a damage dealer and control unit in one is really, really nice. But on top of that, Ashlyn has this part of her her trait where, if she's not ascended, she has a 25% chance to gain 1 bonus turn when an enemy removes negative effects. With Trista, even though she is removing the negative effect by detonating the Ignite, it still counts as the enemy removing it. So every time Trista attacks a hero with Ignite and then detonates that Ignite, it has a chance to grant Ashlyn an extra turn, which allows her to loop back around to her stun or her big damage dealing ultimate. So that is a really amazing combo. And it's one that I would definitely use if I did not have Light Nick or Evelyn First On. So, a team like this, right? On top of that, you have a really nice elite in this faction in Marion. I almost said Marion Shadowblood, but just Marion. She has a trait here where it grants your team 25% lifesteal if she's ascended, which is pretty easy to do for elites. So, if you're looking for a nice team to scale up in faction wars, I think that this team right here is a really, really strong team, and one that should be able to get you at least up past 15 and into the 16, 17, maybe even 18 range, depending on how strong these heroes are. I know some people book Trista because she's really good in guild versus environment. Some people care about that game mode, so that's kind of neat. So yeah, just a Trista and Ashlyn comp right here is really, really strong. I need to see if she is built. Okay, she is. So if you take a look at this team right here, this is stage 16. Let's do stage 16 because it has Andre in here. So we'll just do a 3-man team. Let's see if we can get through this. I'll show you the power of Trista with Ashlyn. Okay, so because Trista is the hero that's likely to get hit, we want to stun, one of these blue guys here with Ashlyn. There you saw the Marion Shadowblood joint attack. And Marion Shadowblood has this ultimate ability as well that does nice AoE damage. But here with Trista, on her ultimate ability, she launches anywhere from 4 to 6 attacks at random enemies. And then each attack, because of her trait, has a chance to inflict Ignite. So you'll see here, enemies that don't have Ignite yet, whenever she attacks at random, she may attack them twice. And with her trait, it says whenever she inflicts damage against someone who doesn't have Ignite, it puts Ignite on them. And then if they do have Ignite, it has a chance to detonate it, which has the chance to remove it, which allows Ashlyn to grant a bonus turn. So we'll see here if Ashlyn gets a bonus turn. As you see right here, she's not in the turn order, but we'll see if this happens. Okay, so there's the first one. There's the stun. So sadly, none of those granted the bonus turn from Ashlyn, but at the same time, it did stun this fire hero, so it allowed us, to not take as much damage. So here I'm going to cycle through with Ashlyn, just do some chip damage to everybody. We'll take out this blue guy because of the Trista. And here, Trista's going to go again, and she's going to attack this blue hero to try and stun him. Because he already has Ignite, it's going to activate the Ignite, and then you'll see it stun him, and then hopefully grant Ashlyn a bonus turn. Okay, so there was the stun, no bonus turn, but she did get a bonus attack there because of the curse it set. So now we're on to the next one. And right here what I'm doing is I'm building up those magic sparks for Ashlyn so she can nuke down the boss wave. So here, we can do one of two things. We can do some AoE damage against this water unit, which I think we will. And we're just going to try and take them out. Because if both water units attack the Trista, she might die. So here she has her AoE. We're hoping to get some kind of either stun. Okay, so see, we stunned that one character, which allows us to not take 2 hits from the water units there, which is nice. And here we're just going to keep chipping away at these water heroes because we do not want our Trista to die. We've gotten a little unlucky with not granting the bonus turns with Ashlyn, but we're still getting through here, which is good. Okay, so here I am going to switch to gain back some health because that fire unit ended up doing some pretty good damage. And there, Ashlyn got her bonus turn from having the magic sparks full. So we're just going to finish this hero off, and we're going to move on to the boss stage. Okay, so here, because Andre removes any kind of control effect, we have to make sure that we kill him here fairly quickly, because I think he's going to go after the Trista. So hopefully this Ashlyn ult does enough damage to him that... So this one's going to be close. I don't know with him killing Trista if that's going to kill the rest of our team. But thankfully Trista does have her ult, and she's going to launch a bunch of attacks right on Andre. So this should proc one of these bonus turns for Ashlyn. See, there was the bonus turn down there. And this is like the best way to try and beat this stage if you don't have Light Nick and Evelyn first on, right? So he's going to remove this stun whenever he goes, but because my Ashlyn and Marion Shadowblood are at full health, we should be able to survive. So he removed that, he removed his, what was it, stun, and then Ashlyn actually got a bonus turn. But you saw that my team there survived, so we're in fine shape here, and then we can kill the Andre. So, you know, as you guys have seen here, Ashlyn is definitely the key to this faction. And if you don't have her, you know, things are going to get tough. But as you saw there, I beat stage 16, you know, with just 3 heroes. So if you throw in a Marion there, it's going to give your team a lot more sustain. And you should be able to at least get up to this stage. But those are just the little things with this faction in general. You really are going to heavily rely on Ashlyn for sure. There are some other nice viable options at the lower stages, you know, like Valeria, who can do AoE damage against, you know, stages that have more, you know, grass units or something like that. If you have Dark Valeria, you know, congratulations, you've won the game. Same thing with Afroine. Although Afro is a little less good in Faction Wars because they don't deal critical damage, and that's what she needs to counterattack, but she's still useful there because she can heal herself back up with her rage. And if you have Marion Shadow or just Marion in your team, she's probably a viable option. Marion Shadowblood is definitely key in that faction as well. Trista pairs great with Ashlyn. I bet there are some things that you can do with Timmons. You know, Timmons ally attacks with your team. So if you put him in stun with his ultimate, he's going to be attacking a lot. This is going to be more of an RNG thing, but at the same time, if you just keep at it, you might get to a stage that is easier to farm, but you pass that one stage with Timmons. So he's a viable option as well. You know, I'm sure Dark Nick is just like Light Nick. He has that death immunity. He deals a lot of damage, so that's nice. You know, even Muriel might be a nice person to use in Faction Wars just because she removes those negative effects as well as granting attack down. You know, she could be someone that, you know, is nice in a stun set on top of giving your team just a bunch more damage. So pretty nice. And of course, as I went over in my Muriel video, the fact that Ashlyn could get even more bonus turns because of Muriel's trait probably makes her a very nice option as well if you ended up pulling her from limited summons. Yeah, but that's pretty much it, guys. That's the individual faction itself for Lasir. So I hope this individual video helped you out a little bit. You know, I know that I just told you that Ashlyn is the key, but she's just one of the best heroes in the game, and she was one of those seasonal heroes. So, you know, if you just summon twice, you got her. But that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.